Nam myoho renge kyo. Nam myoho renge kyo. Nam myoho renge kyo. Hi, I hope you're well, in good circumstance. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your study, for your practice, for your determination. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support, all of you. Whether you watch, you like and subscribe, you donate through PayPal or through Patreon, patrons, you're amazing. All of us appreciate you. Or whether you support in addition to or only through the Bookstore. Don't forget the free stuff. The podcasts are all free. The audio versions of these videos are all available free to you. And tons of information on threefoldlotus.com. All right, let's get into it. Got to change the glasses. Put on the correct glasses. All right. Where did we leave off? Tathagata Field, repetitive explanations. Yeah, I just had a conversation with an old friend this morning on the telephone. And I told him many moons ago, gosh, back in the 90s, I guess. Well, I started writing this book back in the 80s. But I think I published it in the early 90s. It's called Abiogenesis. I don't think that's what it's called anymore. I think it's called something about the spiritual in art or something like that. Anyway, I had mentioned that, at that time in the 70s, early 80s, what was popular was positive thinking and affirmations and visualizations and blah, blah, blah. Everything was about changing yourself. And I had this insight that changing yourself is a samsaric illusion, that whatever we construct as ourselves is something that we have put together through past experience. So to change that is irrelevant because we're constantly changing anyway. What's more to the point is that that's actually that whole dragging that past along with us is a constructed mythology about who we think we are and how we think other people might perceive us. And it's, as I said, it's already false because we're changing right now. So my thinking was what we need to do, because you can't change the past, and all you can do is reassemble it constantly, try to cling to it, right? Hang on to it. You have to create a whole new mythology, a whole new version with really putting a deep dive into thinking about who you are, what you are, how you want your life to proceed, and start replacing that past constant reaffirmation with a new one. You can't get rid of it, but you can replace it. And, this is where discussions of free will come in. And in Buddhism, we know that we can influence our karmic freight train, yes? I've not talked about the karmic freight train in quite a while. So I wonder if I have a link on threefoldlotus.com just explaining the karmic freight train. I might look into that. That might be something I can post. I haven't posted a new essay there in a little while, so maybe that's what it'll be. Anyway, he asked me what I meant by mythology. Good question, because that's a very charismatic word, yeah? But simply, mythology is a created self, especially as Buddhists, right? That created self is a myth. It's a mythology. It's not an actual thing. It's an assemblage of previous moments that we remember differently moment to moment anyway. So it's not really a solid thing. It's just a framework that we tell ourselves is who we are and who we project. And to alter that is the easiest thing in the world for us. We chant. We open our Buddha mind, and right away, consciously or unconsciously, our creative energy, that the roiling, energetic assemblage that we are, constantly changing moment to moment, is influenced right away. The moment we open the Gohonzon mind, the Buddhaness, the Buddha suchness within us, we begin to affect and influence that current assemblage of self, to the point where we hope to break down and disconnect from the baggage of self to realize ourself as a dynamic moment-to-moment experience of the entire cosmic expression of potential. That's huge. Hard to fathom. But easy to do. It's our perception that drags and has difficulty with integration into what we, quote, know, experience. But the more we do it, the easier it becomes. In fact, it becomes so easy that we don't know it's happening. But we do realize, moment to moment, suddenly, oh, that's funny. That never happens to me anymore. And I hadn't thought about that in a long time, maybe years. That must be that karmic change that's happening under the hood that I didn't even realize I was changing. Simply because you awakened your Buddha suchness, that suchness of clarity, that suchness of no distraction, no bullshit, no clinging, just observing the wow, the now, this is the momentum, this is the direction, life is moving me. I am life, I am moving, right? Anyway, just a little aside, but it might, because I find that when I get a conversation going with this gentleman we talk maybe once a year. And just like many other things that only happen seldomly, as I've isolated myself more and more from society, there's a connection. There's a connection that links together all of us. And so I'm sure it will appear it's in these words that I'm going through a lot of repetition right now on this separation between Tathagata and Tathagatanness, which is really Buddhahood. Because the suchness is only expressed in this Saha realm of forms, right? Name and form. Before the realms of shape and form, name and form, Nama-Rupa, there is only potential, and that's undefined. It's just It's awaiting opportunity to express something of itself. All right, so let's continue. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Remember? Or more accurately, the experience of. Also, extremely deep is what Shakyamuni Buddha and Bodhisattvas look up to. A dutiful son serves his parents, and the virtue thereof is extremely profound. It is so. Extremely deep refers to emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. So what is that saying? See, it would be easy to mistake this filial, dutiful son serving the parents, or any analogy or analog to that relationship, as some kind of a binding contract, or a how shall I put it, a pressed upon responsibility, yeah? But if you truly are engaged as a dutiful person, right? As a dedicated Buddhist, as a student of the observation of the engine of life, then emancipation isn't a sense of duty. It isn't a sense that this is a behavior you're living up to, or that you're under duress to perform, or any of that. It becomes the sense of openness and largesse that one feels when one is performing beyond the expectation of others to bring them to fruition. And in Buddhist terms, that is leading them toward their own enlightenment. That's true emancipation. I'm not talking about here of feeling accomplished. I'm talking about that profound feeling of being whole, bigger than self, the self as cosmos. That is truly liberating, right? Because all of the confines of the defined samsaric self, the me self, suddenly you experience this huge breaking of all barriers life, a joy beyond not happiness, but an illumination, right? Well, this is no mistake why they call it enlightenment, yeah? That's emancipation, and that emancipation is the expressed potential of Tathagata. Clarity, the loss of time. Also, emancipation is what one cannot see. Duh. For example, a man cannot see the top of his own head. The same is in the case with emancipation. Sravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas cannot see it. What cannot be seen is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Okay, that's a very rudimentary example, but it is a samsaric example. Once again, language. Also, emancipation is the houseless. This is as in the case of the transparency, which has no house. The same with emancipation. The house here refers to the 3,000 realms of existence. Houseless is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. So here is an analog which I explored earlier with you in the last video, yeah? Is the 3,000 realms of existence in a single thought moment are the confines, if you will, of samsaric mind. if you transcend the samsaric mind of craving and clinging and thingifying and identifying and so on, then the idea of being influenced is irrelevant. The 3,000 realms are no longer experienced. There's nothing to influence. Also, emancipation is what cannot be held in one's hand. The amalaka can certainly be held in a man's hand. Not so emancipation. It cannot be held in one's hand. Whatever cannot be held in one's hand is emancipation. True emancipation is, say it with me, the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is what one cannot grasp in one's hand. This is in the case of the phantom, which one cannot grasp in one's hand. The same is also with emancipation. Whatever is not possible to grasp in one's hand is emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. But who is doing the grasping, my friend? Are you grasping with your hand, indicated by this stanza, or is the hand and the grasping of the mind? Buddhism is about the mind, right? Also, emancipation has no carnal body. For example, one has a body on and in which can come about such as the pox, leprosy, all kinds of carbuncles, craziness, and dryings up. In true emancipation, no such diseases and illnesses can come about. What is without such like diseases and illnesses is true emancipation. It exists outside of the paradigm of name and form. Emancipation. Liberation, nirvana, right? This vocabulary, it all makes sense. It's cohesive, yes? True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is oneness of taste. So now we're going to go through the purification of all the senses, right? It is like milk, which is one in its taste. The same with emancipation, which is one in its taste. Such oneness in taste is true emancipation. True emancipation is Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is purity. This is as in the case of water, which has no mud in it. It's clear, unmoving, and pure. The same with emancipation. It is clean, unmoving, and pure. Whatever is clean, unmoving, and pure is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Now, there's another term we have to think of in Buddhist teachings, purity. Okay? We would, in Western society, say purity is undefiled. We would say the same in Buddhism, but the defilements we're talking about are mental defilements, right? Attitudes, intent. Also, emancipation is single in taste. It is like the rain in the sky, which is one in taste and pure. That which is one in taste and pure can be likened to true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is exclusive. It is like the full moon that does not have any clouded part. So goes it with emancipation. It has no clouded part. What has no clouded part is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is quietude. A man has a fever. When cured, he feels quiet. Emancipation is thus. One feels quiet. When one feels quiet, there is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, true emancipation is equalness, impartiality, equanimity. For example, a field has in it poisonous serpents, rats, and wolves, all of which mean to kill others. It is not so with emancipation. There is no thought of killing. Having no thought of killing is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. You might retroactively apply this specific term, this no thought of killing, to the argument about foodstuffs, what we can eat, the prohibitions, all that, right? It is said that at one point somebody asked Buddha about killing an animal to feed their family. And the simplified response was, it is enough to kill the will to kill. Right? I won't go into that tangent, but in relation to, I just want to point out the consistency over and over again, all over the place in the teachings, yeah? Also, true emancipation is equalness, and may be compared to the mind of parents who view their children all equally. Not that their children are equal in ability or appearance or any of that, but they view their children, really, watch the words here, view their children, their sentiments, their judgment of their children. It all comes from the one place, yes? Thus is emancipation. The mind is all equal. This all equal mind is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. In other words, the Tathagata Field is equalness, equanimity, exclusionary, quietude. See, all of these are aspects of recognizing the Tathagata Field as a samsaric experience. It's a little, how can you experience something that doesn't exist as an is, as an it, in the 30,000 realms, and yet is the potential for all of those things to exist in the 3,000 realms? How do you identify it? What an irony that we're trying to identify something to recognize how we cease to identify. It's a bit of a conundrum, yes? And I think that very conundrum is why so many people struggle with deriving meaning from these translations of Shakyamuni's teachings. Thus, why I believe this channel is important, to hash these things out. Also, emancipation is not having any other place to dwell. For example, there is a man here who only lives in the best of all places, having no other place to live in. The same with emancipation. It has no other place to live in. Having no other different place to live in is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. So, how many times have you heard me say that the only place enlightenment can occur is in the human mind, the samsaric and the non-samsaric mind, the sentient mind of our lifetimes in the realm of forms, yes? This is why when our body dies, and therefore the support for this mind ends, then the mind ends, then there is nothing. We're done. There is no afterlife. That's a quixotic weird abstract statement. After death, after life. No, life is ongoing. Life is the process. Life is the entire cosmos. We are small expressions of life, just like seasonal flowers that come up, express their potential, their specific slice of potential. They live, they go on, they decay, and then that expression is over. It's done. It's ended. Other things are expressed that may be extremely similar, but they're still individually expressions themselves of that same potential. Instantiations, like a field of tulips, each one extremely similar, but somehow slightly different. Also, emancipation is feeling satisfied. Remember that joy, that wholeness I was trying to describe earlier about feeling emancipated, liberated, nirvana? Take the case of a hungry man who, on encountering sweet dishes, devours them, and there is no end of eating. The case of emancipation is not like this. If one partakes of milk-cooked porridge, one no longer feels the need to eat. No longer feeling any need to eat may well be likened to emancipation. You are freed, liberated from that desire, that drive, that craving. Right? True emancipation is Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is segregation. It is like a person tied up who cuts the rope and gains his freedom. The same is the case with emancipation. One cuts off all the bonds of doubt. See, Buddhism is about the mind. Such cutting off of all the bonds of doubt is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is gaining the other shore. A big river, for example, has this shore and the yonder shore. It is not thus with emancipation. Although it does not have this side, there is the yonder shore. What has this other shore is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is silence, right? Quietude. The surface of, although quietude pertains more to no disruptions or distractions, but certainly silence could be seen as a part of that, yeah? The surface of a great sea swells, for example, and there arise many sounds. With emancipation, things are not so. Emancipation such as this is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is the all-wonderful. If haritaki, a purgative bitter fruit, is added to any medicine, that medicine will come to taste bitter. But emancipation is not like this. It becomes sweet. The taste of sweetness can be likened to true emancipation. Also, emancipation makes away with all illusion. This may be likened to the case of the learned doctor who mixes up all drugs and cures all diseases. The same is also the case with emancipation. It thoroughly makes away with illusion. What makes away with illusion is true emancipation, and true emancipation is the Tathagata Field. And now I'll take care of this phone alarm for my pills. Time to take medicine. Okay. First I have to. All right. Sorry about that. Also, emancipation has no oppressedness, constriction, or crampedness. For example, a small house cannot take in many people. The case is otherwise with emancipation, which can take in many. What takes in many is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. So, just to expand on that, no pun intended, what he means by taking on many is that you could take on endless people, because the house of emancipation is the cosmos, right? You become the channel, the open door, the leader to the Gohonzon mind, the portal to Namo-Myoho Renge Kyo, to emancipation. Also, emancipation is analogous to annihilating all loving, lustful casts of mind and not having carnal appetites. Now, this is a recurrent theme throughout Buddhism and almost every philosophy, and certainly religions throughout the world, right? We are hung up about our genitals. But again, Buddhism is about the mind, attitude, and intent. It's not that it's bad to play with genitals, but what is your attitude about it, and what is your intent with it? And if that attitude and intent is something that obsesses your mind, now we're talking about Buddhism, right? It's not the act. It's the attachment to the act. It's the craving the act. It's the clinging to the act. It's samsara. A female has many phases of love or lust. This is not so with emancipation. Emancipation of this kind is the Tathagata Field. The Tathagata Field does not possess such illusions as greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, etc. Also, emancipation is lovelessness or desirelessness. Love is of two kinds. One is hungry, craving, love, and the other, the love of the Dharma, the experience of Buddhaness, of wholeness, of everything all at once, all the time. True love is not possessed of hungry love. Right? True love is more of an appreciation than a desire. In fact, it's no desire at all. It's a deep, profound appreciation of. As there is love for all beings, there is love of the Dharma. Such love of Dharma is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is not possessed of atmatmiya, or fixation on self and what belongs to the self, right? I'm saying this all the time. Identification, possession, craving, clinging, all me. Have. Such emancipation is the Tathagata Field. The Buddha is Dharma, the experience of the Dharma field. Also, emancipation is extinction, right? We hear this word used all the time. It is removed from all kinds of greed. Such emancipation is the Tathagata Field. The Buddha is Dharma. In other words, Buddhaness or Buddha is the experience of that quietude. That Dharma is experience. Also, emancipation is succoring. It thoroughly succors all who have fear. Such emancipation is the Tathagata Field. The Buddha is the Dharma. So as bodhisattvas, we use our Buddhaness to inspire others to aspire to the Dharma. We succor them. Also, emancipation is the place to which one returns. One who partakes of such emancipation does not seek any other place to take refuge in. For example, a man who depends on the king does not look for other kings to depend on. Yet even when one depends on the king, there can be a situation in which change comes about. For one who depends upon emancipation, there is no change anymore. You've attained it. Where there is no change, there is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is fearlessness. It is like the lion who has no fear of any beast. The same is the case with emancipation. It has no fear of any maras. Fearlessness is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation knows no narrowness. On a narrow path, two persons cannot walk side by side. It is not thus with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, there is the case of non-narrowness. For example, a man falls into a well just because of his fear of a tiger. The situation with emancipation is not like this. Such emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Again, there is the case of non-narrowness. On a great sea, one abandons a small wrecked ship. Sailing in a strong ship, one crosses the sea and arrives at the place or destination. And one's mind is rewarded with quietude. The same is the case with emancipation. The mind is happy. The attainment of happiness is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Oh, we're not done yet. Emancipation stands above all causes, and by causes, conditions. For example, from milk we get cream, from cream we get butter, from butter we get ghee. True emancipation has none of these causes. The causeless is true emancipation. The emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Because what do you need for there to be a cause? And for that matter, an effect. You need to be in the realm of forms. The realm of forms, Nama-Rupa, is itself cause-effect. Also, emancipation thoroughly subdues arrogance. Think of a great king who belittles a petty king. The case is not thus with emancipation. Such emancipation is the Tathagata Field. The Buddha is Dharma. Also, emancipation subdues all kinds of indolence. One who is indolent is greedy. With true emancipation, nothing such as this comes about. This is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Emancipation does away with non-brightness or darkness. This is as with the best butter. When the scum and dirt are removed, we get ghee. The same with emancipation. As a result of excluding the scum of ignorance, true brightness shines forth. Such brightness is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. Also, emancipation is quietude, the pure one, not the not two, the non-dual. This is like the elephant of the wilderness, who is without comparison. The same is the situation with emancipation. It is the one, the not two, which is true emancipation. True emancipation is the Tathagata Field. So I'm going to pause on that for a moment and talk about what I've talked about before. And you can look it up in the Buddhism reference book. The two nirvanas. I'm going to write a note here. Nirvanas. Right? There's the nirvana of remainder and the nirvana of no remainder. So you can say that there's the pure one, the not two. So as I've already discussed, and so I'm going to bring all of this together here, enlightenment can only occur in the sentient mind. And a sentient mind requires this apparatus in order to exist, to perceive, to be. So the requisite teaching, the requisite chanting, the requisite Gohonzon mind in order to penetrate our ninth consciousness is a duality. You have the 8 consciousnesses wrapped around samsaric endeavors, and then you shift those consciousnesses toward enlightenment via the ninth consciousness. Remember the wrapper, the video where I drew that triangle motion and all that? You can find those better drawings, actually, because of PowerPoint, on threefoldlotus.com. Yep. If I remember, I'll put a link to that. But what you have is, as we live our lives in samsara, in saha, right, in the mundane world, we live with our samsaric existence, and we experience Buddhaness. That's a duality, right? But it's still nirvana. It's just that this nirvana that we experience when we chant at our Buttadon to our mandala and awaken Buddhaness is 2. It's our enlightened mind in our mundane life. That's the nirvana of remainder, the remainder being our physical trace. But when we reach the end of our physical life, and therefore the end of the support for our consciousnesses, our mind, that nirvana, which again is a putting away of separating ourselves from samsara, is distinctly left, gone, no longer physically, materially attached to the mundane world. So that is parinirvana, the final nirvana, the final separation from the mundane, the parinirvana. Follow? That's the nirvana of no remainder. But that doesn't mean that after you die, your sentient mind continues somewhere out there. Woo, 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 woo. No. That's a religion. That's not Buddhism. Make sense? All right. Where are we time-wise? All right. I think I've blah, blah, blah long enough. So, yes, on one hand, this is very repetitive. But on the other hand, do you see how, because of the limitations, and they are limitations of language, and the limitations are not just of language, but our perception of language, because each one of us hears all of these words, language, within the sphere of our own mythology, yeah? And Shakyamuni knew this, so he ad nauseum would go over every aspect, because he knew that, you know, you might hear 50 of these, and on the 51st one you go, oh, now I get it, right? Didn't want to leave you out. Hey, maybe most of these or all of these are nailing it for you. Namo Myo Renge Kyo, how wonderful, right? We have a few more, and then we'll move on. Not that much more. And then we'll move on in this 4th aspect, which turns out to be quite extensive, yeah? I hope you are getting those little aha moments as we go here. Again, very briefly, I just want to appreciate those of you who are watching, listening, maybe getting the print version of this book or the e-book. This one's going to take a while. Obviously, there's a lot of corrections I need to make in it, but that's okay. As soon as I'm done with this is just volume 1, okay? But we're trucking to it pretty good. When I'm done with this, I'll take some time to correct it and publish it, and then I'll move on to volume 2, which has some really wild stuff in it. But we'll do the same treatment for that. Hopefully I can get back to doing a daily or almost daily posting, video, lesson reading, whatever we want to call this, sharing. And we'll get volume 2 down, and then we'll have a thorough going over of this final teaching, which, as you know, is meant to back up, support, round out, capture everyone who may have had difficulty understanding the profundity of the Lotus Sutra, which was meant to be his final, here is how you do it, right? Teaching. But, there's extensive, like I said, a lot of repetitive stuff, but there's extensive diving in for all different kinds of mental capacities in the MahaPariNirvana. So in that respect, it really is unique. And I think in that way, if you understand what its purpose is, can be very useful, not just for your practice and mine, but in explaining and sharing this practice with others. Yeah? Okay, that's enough for now. Thank you so much for your practice. Take it to heart, take your time with it, and savor it. I mean that. Take care of your health, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.